Hey everyone, and welcome back to Royal Roots VA. So today me and my mom decided to tackle these 20 to 25 pounds of apples. We have 3 different types, Gala, Fiji, and Red Delicious. And mixing them up is actually ideal for me. I did it on purpose so that I can get a bunch of different flavors, even though all 3 of these are more on the sweeter side. Sometimes when I'm making things like applesauce, I try to add in some tart apples, but these apples are going to be used probably for making pies, fried apples as a side dish, or just my kids if they want to pop open a jar and have some apples for a snack. They are going to be spiced already. Going to make a light to medium syrup before we can them. We are saving the skins and the cores, and I'll talk about what we're going to do with that later. So let's dive in. The first thing I want to point out is I'm putting the apples in a pot filled with cool water and lemon juice. And the lemon juice actually keeps the apples from turning that brown color that you see when it oxidizes and the apples hit the air after being peeled or sliced. I'm also using a apple slicer and corer, which is a very handy tool to have, especially when you have this many apples. And then my mom and I also are using a peeler. So once we get these apples peeled, sliced, and cored, we're going to get over to the stove and work on some simple or light syrup to can the apples in. How do you make the apple cider out of this stuff? You boil it down, and then I'm going to add some oranges and the spices like cinnamon and
you got the recipe.
Cloves.
And then how you going to bottle it up?
That I was thinking about using those jars.
Oh, I didn't bring your jars in, did I? Oh, don't let me take
them in the car
with me. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was thinking about using those jars that I saved from the heavy cream.
Oh, okay. And how long will it last?
I don't know if I can freeze those jars, because if I could, I would freeze them. But I could put them in mason jars to freeze and just use those jars for the ones I put in the fridge. And, you know.
Yeah, I think that would be good. Because you don't want it to go bad. And you could really give it away as gifts.
Man, we gonna actually drink it, to be honest.
Okay.
I mean, we go through so much juice, and me and the twins like this apple cider. I usually buy it from the store, but the other girls say that it tastes funny because it don't taste like regular apple. They think it's apple juice, and it's not. And I keep trying to tell them it's not apple juice; it's cider.
Is it gonna have a lot of sugar in it?
Not a lot. So we finally finished peeling and slicing and coring these apples while we had a quick little conversation. And this is what we have left of the peels and the cores, which is going to go into a crock pot to make some apple cider tomorrow. All right, so now we're going to make our syrup. I have 10 cups of water, 1.5 cups of white sugar, 3 cups of brown sugar that I made, and I didn't have enough brown sugar to do the whole thing in brown sugar, so that's why it's 3 cups of brown sugar, 1.5 cups of white sugar, but you can do 4.5 cups of either for this syrup. I have 4 sticks of cinnamon and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And this is also homemade extract. I will do a video later showing how I make that. We're going to bring this to a boil and let the cinnamon sticks release its flavor into the liquid while I go and finish with the apples that we just peeled and cored.
That's expensive, but the legs are not. Why? It's fast. Legs and fat and dark meat, which is the best meat to me. But I like the fried chicken wings.
So now I'm just taking out the cinnamon sticks from the syrup before I put the apples into the syrup. And we're going to let the apples cook down a little bit so that we can hot pack our jars.
I like your hair. You got this hair. I know, that's my jacket.
So I got all the apples into the pot, and I just barely made it with all the apples that we had. But right now I'm just going to I'm going to try to push as many of the apples down so that all of it can get coated really good, and then let it kind of warm up a little bit. I'm not going to cook them until they're soft because I don't want to make them mushy. I do want them to have a little bit of firmness, but we are going to hot pack these jars, and so I do have to cook them down just a little to get them into the jars.
All right, so I think I can go ahead and start filling the jars because this should have gotten warm enough now.
So what you see me doing is trying to bring some of the apples from the bottom to the top so that I can push those apples that were at the top down to the bottom and kind of get it even all around. All right, we're at our favorite part, filling the jars. I try to get as many apples into the jars as possible. So you'll see me take a wooden spoon and pack it down really good, and then maybe add some more apples and more liquid before I debubble. And then after I've debubbled it, there may need to be some more liquid added again. I try to fill it to an inch of headspace. Some recipes will say you only need a 1/4 inch. I prefer to have a whole inch when I'm dealing with a syrup or a sugary substance to minimize the siphoning. Even though with water bath canning, you don't have as much siphoning as you do with pressure canning, it's still just something that I try to do to keep my liquid into the jars and get a good seal. So I lowered the jars into the water, making sure there's 2 inches over top of the jars. And then once it starts to boil, we'll process for 20 minutes. All right, so I got 5 quart jars of apples. And then I went ahead and filled up those pint jars back there so that I can put them into the water bath canner. But this is absolutely gorgeous. I cannot wait to taste it. So altogether, we got 5 quarts and 10 pints. My canner only fit about 7 or 8 pint jars. So the twins had some apples for lunch, and then I stuck the rest in the fridge for us to eat over the next couple of days. Thank you for joining us, and we'll do another video on the apple cider. But until next time, be blessed.